Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
We're really hip.
Ninja Turtles. They're heroes in the half shell. And they're green Ninja Turtles. Heroes in a half shell. Turtle power.
Listen up, because I'm about to take you back to the greatest era in Saturday morning history. You'd crash on that couch before your parents even thought about waking up, and you'd watch 4 turtles explode out of a New York City sewer. And then, boom, you're back in it. Pizza, nunchucks, and a giant rat who somehow made more sense than any teacher you ever had. This thing started as a $1,200 joke comic drawn in a living room and became the most merchandised franchise on the entire planet. $6 billion. Bigger than Star Wars in the toy aisle. Every lunchbox, every backpack, every Halloween costume as far as the eye could see. So why did it crash? By the end of this video, you're going to understand how a napkin sketch became a cultural religion and why the ending still feels unfinished to everyone who grew up watching it. Let's start from the beginning. Part 1. The joke that refused to stay a joke. Think 1983. Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird are 2 broke comic artists in Massachusetts, doing what every creative does when they've got nothing to lose. They're trying to make each other laugh. Eastman draws a masked turtle standing upright holding nunchucks, just to get a reaction. Laird looks at it, picks up a pen, and writes 2 words underneath. Teenage Mutant. And now, you've got something. The whole concept's a parody of everything hot in comics at the time. The teenage drama of New Teen Titans, the mutant obsession of Uncanny X-Men, the ninja craze Daredevil kicked off. It's a joke built from other people's serious work. But here's the thing about jokes made by people who actually understand the genre. Sometimes they land harder than the thing they're mocking. Then they do the dangerous part. They take the joke seriously. March 1984. They call their company Mirage Studios, even though it's basically Eastman's living room. They pool a tax refund and a loan from Eastman's uncle, $1,200 total, and print the first issue. 3,000 copies. Black and white. Oversized newsprint. Looks more like a zine than a franchise. It sells out. In weeks. Not months, not eventually. Weeks. That's the first signal that something real is living underneath the joke. Because the original comic isn't the Saturday morning version you grew up with. There's no wisecracking, no catchphrases, no argument about pineapple on pizza. Issue 1 opens with the Turtles hunting the Foot Clan through the rain, and it doesn't pull punches. Splinter isn't a warm TV dad. He's a grieving, trained killer who raised 4 weapons and pointed them at the city. The whole thing reads like a serious ninja story that just happens to have turtles in it. And the names. Eastman and Laird consider Japanese names, then reject them. Instead, they go Italian Renaissance. Leonardo, Donatello, Raphael, Michelangelo. Absurd and perfect. High culture and sewer culture holding hands. Serious and ridiculous at exactly the same time. For a minute, that's the Turtles. A weird cult comic with teeth, spreading through comic shops because readers can't fully explain why they love it. They just do. Then, 1987 happens. And everything changes. Part 2. The machine turns on. Eastman and Laird licensed the characters to Playmates toys in 1987. And Playmates don't come in small. Hundreds of figures, vehicles, playsets, accessories, a full assault on every toy shelf in America. But the 80s toy world's already written the rulebook on this move, and everyone knows it. If you want the toys to win, you need a cartoon. The first animated series premiered in 1987, and to get it on air, the Turtles have to change. The darkness gets dialed down. The edge gets sanded off, and in its place comes something that turns out to be a different kind of genius. Color-coded masks, personality shorthand that works across a playground in 3 seconds. Bebop and Rocksteady bumbling around like the world's most dangerous idiots. and the most underrated franchise decision of the entire decade. Pizza. As a full personality trait, don't underestimate what that move did. Pizza isn't a detail, it's a portal. It's the thing that makes 4 mutant sewer ninjas feel like they could actually be your best friends. Suddenly they're not aliens, they're just guys, weird, incredible guys who happen to know ninjutsu. And the numbers that follow aren't just good, they're historic. Between 1988 and 1992, roughly $1.1 billion worth of Turtles toys were sold, third on the all-time best-selling action figure list, behind only G.I. Joe and Star Wars. A self-published black and white parody comic printed in a living room is now sitting in the same sentence as Star Wars. Then the first real test arrives. Can this thing hold a movie? The 1990 film answers that by doing something smart, it ignores the cartoon and leans back toward the comic. Darker tone, real stakes, costumes built by Jim Henson's Creature Shop that give the Turtles a physical weight no animation could replicate. You're watching Leonardo draw his swords and your brain saying, he's actually there. Highest grossing independent film up to that point. Over $200 million worldwide. Fourth highest grossing film of 1990, in a year that included Ghost, Total Recall, and Home Alone. That's peak power. That's the moment the Turtles look genuinely untouchable. Part 3. The cracks that don't show up in the merch numbers. Here's the part nobody talks about when they're celebrating the boom. The merchandise numbers can be insane. The brand can be everywhere. And meanwhile, the people who built it are starting to feel the walls close in. In 1989, Eastman and Laird actually publish an editorial in the comic, a direct message to readers saying, the wacky side is happening, they're enjoying it, but the original version of these characters is still theirs. That's 2 creators feeling the franchise outgrow their hands and reaching back for it in the only way they can. And then look at what the boom demanded in 1990. Not just toys in a movie, a stage musical. Coming out of their shells, the Turtles as a rock band, 40 dates across the United States, sponsored by Pizza Hut, promoted on Oprah, a soundtrack album, a VHS release. If you grew up in this era, you might barely believe this happened. But it's the perfect symbol for what peak TMNT looks like. A franchise so hot it becomes a touring rock concert and somehow still sells. The energy's real, but the edges are completely gone. The sequels tell the same story. Secret of the Ooze arrives in 1991. Rushed, lighter, Vanilla Ice shows up at the climax. And no, that's not a fever dream. Weaker reviews, weaker box office. Then Turtles 3 in 1993 sends them to feudal Japan and didn't even release in the Japanese market it was built for. The streak's broken. By 1994, TMNT was the most merchandised franchise in the world. $6 billion in total merchandise sales. $6 billion. For a property that started as a tax refund and a living room. You can be the biggest thing in the world and still be losing yourself at the same time. That's the trap. Part 4. The machine starts eating itself. The first animated series ends in 1996. The kids who grew up watching Mikey slam pizza and Raph pick fights with literally everyone are in middle school now. They're not buying the same toys the same way. How many versions of the same 4 heroes can a shelf hold before it starts looking like noise? In 1997, the franchise tries live-action TV with Ninja Turtles, the next mutation through Saban Entertainment. They add a 5th turtle, Venus de Milo, trained in mystical shinobi arts. They cross over into Power Rangers in space. It gets canceled after 1 season. If you want one image for what the fall looks like, it's this. The franchise that once sold 4 brothers as a complete, locked-in family, now adding a 5th sibling, trying to restart the engine, and the audience not showing up the same way. And inside the creative partnership, the temperature's different now. Eastman says he liked the next mutation. Laird calls it the one project he truly regrets. That split says everything. The franchise is no longer one clear identity. It's a set of versions competing for what the Turtles are even supposed to feel like. Part 5. Letting Go. In 2000, Eastman sold his share to Laird. The two guys who made each other laugh in a New Hampshire living room are no longer co-owners of the thing they built. 2003 brings the first real attempt to win back what was lost. A new animated series through 4Kids Entertainment, co-produced by Mirage Studios. Darker, more mature, real stakes. It's the show finally saying, we remember what this was before the rock concert tour. It runs 7 seasons and closes in 2009 with Turtles Forever, a film that literally puts the 1987 cartoon Turtles and the 2003 Turtles in the same story. A franchise making peace with its own contradictions. Smart. Earned. Then, October 2009, Laird sold to Viacom. His reason is one of the most honest things any creator's ever said about owning something massive for too long. He says he's no longer the guy who carries a sketchbook everywhere and draws every chance he gets. Think about what that actually means. The thing that made him a creator was the impulse to keep making. The franchise had become a job. He loved it, and he let it go. That's a different kind of ending than getting canceled. Nickelodeon takes over. The 2012 CGI series finds the balance again. Lighter on the surface, real stakes underneath. The 2014 live-action film makes money despite bad reviews. The 2016 sequel bombs. Same pattern every time, wrong tone. The audience feels it before they can explain it. They walk. Then 2023, Mutant Mayhem. Critics call it the best Turtles film ever made. 40 years in. That sentence shouldn't be possible, but it is. 2025, Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles gets canceled on Paramount Plus, caught in the Paramount Skydance merger. Paramount ends its nearly 40-year agreement with Playmates Toys. The company that turned a living room comic into a toy empire loses the license. February 2026, Mattel acquires the Master Toy license. The franchise that went nuclear because of Playmates eventually outgrows Playmates. That's the whole rise and fall in one sentence. So why does it keep coming back? Because the core concept is almost unbreakable. And here's what I mean. Think about the 4 brothers. Leonardo carries the weight of the whole team on his back, training alone at 3 a.m. because he doesn't know how else to hold it together. Raphael stormed out of the lair, furious at everything, including himself. Donatello in the lab building things nobody asked for, because that's the only way he knows how to feel useful. And Mikey cracks jokes when everything's falling apart, not because he doesn't get it, but because somebody in that sewer has to keep the lights on. You knew which one you were. You still do. Put Shredder behind them. Give them April, who keeps showing up when she probably shouldn't. Throw Casey Jones in a hockey mask, swinging a golf bag full of weapons, like that's completely normal. And what you've got isn't a toy commercial. It's a family story with ninja weapons. That concept doesn't age. You can make it dark, you can make it goofy, drop it into a grounded city story, or full Dimension X sci-fi chaos, and every version still reads as TMNT immediately. So, what era was your TMNT era? The 2003 series that finally honored both sides? Or Mutant Mayhem? Drop your era in the comments. And if you could bring back one toy, one movie, or one specific episode exactly as it was, what's it gonna be? Hit like, subscribe for more deep dives like this, because the Turtles aren't the only franchise that got swallowed by their own machine and had to claw their way back out. There's another story just like this one already waiting. Click the next video, because once you see this pattern, you start recognizing it everywhere.